Hello guys, welcome to my first video on YouTube. Hopefully it's you can hear me alright. I mean, I don't have the best microphone, but it's just my first ever YouTube video in a while. So yeah, just today I'm gonna be reviewing how I built my trading plan and how can you build it too. So, well, first of all, you can find multiple videos on YouTube about trading plans and all that stuff, right? Today I'm gonna be sharing with you a thing that worked for me and has worked the last years that helped me track my stats, right? And help me put my variables in place so I can track it the simplest way possible, right? So well, the trading plan is mainly to track the set of variables that you have yet discovered about your edge and track it and not go further from all those variables, right? Because if you don't have a trading plan, you're really just gambling on the markets, right? Just trying to predict whatever it is, right? A trading plan is basically the set of variables that are proven to work in a long enough time frame that you can become profitable, right? It doesn't have to work every single time. Of course, no trading plan will work 100% of the times, right? So it's just the set of variables that has a higher probability of winning into the markets, right? So that's why you need that. You need to have that single approach every single time so you can have that statistic of being in the right side of the stats and the markets and having the right way of approaching your trading, right? As I said before, if you don't have a trading plan, you're just doing whatever, you're just gonna, first of all, you're gonna risk your account, risk your capital, not being professional, and also just gambling away. It's like just going to a casino without, well, pretty much going to a casino, eventually you're gonna lose if you don't have an edge, right? But it's really just gambling, right? So, first of all, what I put was a trading session, right? So my trading session started from 7:30, that is New York open for me, to 10:30. I usually just trade 3 hours in a day. You don't really have to trade all London, New York, in Asia, all those sessions. You really just need to really find a time frame, a window, a window time that you can actually trade it from it, right? So for me, it was 7:30 to 10:30, right? After that, it doesn't happen. Like really, nothing happens. Really, my setup is 100% that time, right? So the days that I pulled out was Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday. How with my stats that later on other videos I'm gonna show you how did I track this stats to get to this Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday uh, days, right? And also 7:30 to 10:30, right? I'm gonna do a separate video about how that I found by my stats. Those were the days, but overall, these are the training sessions, the time frames, right? So in a weekly basis, I check the weekly and the daily time frame. And an intraday perspective, every single day, I check the 4 hour, 15 minute, and 5 minute, right? I also put the 1 minute because that's my execution time frame. Before I put this fixed quote unquote time frame, right? I usually was looking at 1 minute and sometimes looking at 3 minute and having right now as it will be my execution time from the 1 minute, just having as a setup. Uh, but what I in my experience is way better if you just stick to a couple of time frames, right? So for example, the 4 hour is my daily bias. Well, kind of my weekly bias as well, right? My 15 minute and my 5 minute is like my intraday bias. What am I looking for, right? So is if you can just track that, you're like, oh, but if you look at the 4 minute and the 3 minute, you're just getting so much anxious or trying to check every single time frame and not really figuring out which time frame works best. For me, I think that having fixed time frames reduce that risk of overlooking that information, overthinking whether or not the time frames are going to work, right? So for me, as I said, 4 hours like a weekly basis bias, and 15 minute and 5 minute are usually my intraday bias, right? My 1 minute is the execution, of course. So my valid 5 minute OBs, the roadblocks that I trade from, imbalance or momentous push, and inducement, right? Liquidity overall. That's how you can put, like, for example, your valid liquidity run, right, has to be run at this point, or etc., right? So you really have to put it in place, like what you want to see, right? And exactly after that is like, what am I looking for, right? So for me, I'm looking to a 5 minute PY with IDM inducements, and then depending on the reaction on the lower time frame, apply my systematic entry, right? So my lower time frame entry models, most people will say, oh yeah, my strategy, blah blah blah. It's just, I'm just giving it away. I really don't mind giving it away, because even if I see this and I share with you, you really still have to practice, right? You Everybody can give for free their lower time frame entry model, their setups, their plan, but it takes a lot of time to build the confidence to actually execute it and backtest it. I know it works, right? Because if you just blindly execute what I'm telling you, like this lower time frame entries and everything, you really won't have experience and actually, like, yeah, overall experience of how to execute it and which point in time should you execute. And also it comes the instinct, right? So what I've seen through the years that I've been trading is like your brain encodes the information you have been backtesting and seeing in the live markets every single day, and it built this sense of instinct, right? So when you're looking at that much information for that long period of time, it builds your brain subconsciously like a backup memory, where you have a storage all the graphs and setup you have seen, right? So that's why, even if I gave away my my trading plan, still people have to backtest it. And even in the backtest, I had people that I've literally shared this, and so the backtesting, they have been found, or they have found their strategy, right? So it doesn't have to be precisely mine, but you have to make sure that before entering any strategy in the market, or any pretty much a strategy out there, you need to backtest it, right? And you need to forward test it. Backtesting means backtesting at least a year worth of data, right? And forward testing at least at minimum 3 months, right? So you can pretty much get a taste of how it is, right? And having, of course, tracking data. Targets are 15-minute week highs, lows, or POIs within those. And this, I put it as, I didn't put this, but it's overall, for me, it's just like a kind of reminder. But I'm right now at the point that it's really about what the information showed me, right? So you can, in targets, you can pretty much put whatever you want in here, what you think it's is right, like other side of the markets, POIs, whatever you have seen in your stats that has worked, right? In trade management, right? B, after the last point, you go into the pullback, or 20% off at 5R and final TP 15R, right? So it really depends on how you see your setups occur, and how you've experienced that is the right way to manage certain levels, right? So For some people can work to break even, for some people cannot because the market can get back to their point and ultimately just hit to take profit, right? You can get multiple times to the stop loss, right? So it's really about this whole plan, trading plan. It's about your data and how about you collect it, right? I'm gonna share with you in the next video, or probably before this. I'm not really sure, but of course I'm gonna make a video about it, and either way, I'm gonna be posting the one that I see the most appropriate posting before, right? So overall trade management, it's overall that. The risk management, this is really, 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 really important. This is, I think, one of the most, if not the most important thing in the trading plan, right? For me, risk 1% and A plus setups, nice POIs or extremes for me, and 0.5% in the middle or with the possibility of getting swept, right? And 0.5. No scalings for me is not like I see a setup and the average scaling is breakup structure. There will be blah blah, right? I don't take scalings. I've tested that, doesn't work for me, right? Two losses in a row and you're done for a day. Four losses in a row and you're done for the week. And 8 losses in a row, level down half the risk and review your data and even go to demo, right? So most people don't talk about this, but sometimes uh as I was saying, your inner self can tell whether or not your setup is valid, right? Even your feelings, your emotions can get into this place. Most people don't understand that it's not about completely being trained like a robot, right? It's understanding you have emotions but not acting upon them. That's the real psychological solve trading. It's understanding we're humans and we're experiencing sometimes either anxiety or whatever and not acting upon that, right? Pulling back a bit and say, okay, let this statistic play out. Either he take profit, break even, or TP, right? But I'm sure I'm executing this way, right? That's pretty much the whole thing about uh, psychology, right? About actually being in a trade and the psychology behind being in a trade. It comes more than that, but overall, well, being in a trade is pretty much that, right? So for me, there are gonna be days you're not gonna really make. You really are not gonna be understanding what is happening in the markets, right? It can get a bit subjective. There's gonna be those days. Most people really don't think or even thought about the possibility of having those days, or I haven't seen anyone talking about this, but sometimes you don't really know what's actually happening in the markets that day. But and you've seen like, oh yeah, but this fits my plan. Yeah, this fits. Okay, but why happen like that? You know why it was a bit subjective because the higher time frame was the other way, but the daily bias showed me this way because I've seen this pattern, etc., etc. And those days are gonna come. The subjectivity some days are gonna come. It's going to come, right? Uh, those days are coming. So what you need to be doing is like the risk management and the execution of your trading plan is gonna have an impact on the mistakes you're doing. Why? Because they're gonna be outperforming those mistakes and outperforming those losing days, right? That's why it's really, really important risk management, right? Because those days where you don't really know what's happening, you make mistakes, or you either have losing streaks. The trading plan is literally made for that, and pretty much to overcome those statistics, right? And be part of those statistics, right? Of the statistics. So that's why it's really, really important. And you're gonna find within your edge sometimes it can fit your edge, but you really don't like it, right? It's completely valid. You, for me, it can fit my plan, but if I don't like it, I don't take it. Why? Because my capital is in risk, right? I'm risking my capital. I'm being intelligent, risking my capital, not because it fits my plan, and I'm not really sure about that, I'm gonna be executing. It's like it's really risking your capital on something you're not willing to take the risk because you're not liking it. It's just there pretty much, right? So it's really important for you to understand that it's not you're not you really don't have to trade every single day, and you really don't have to take every single setup that fits your criteria, but you don't like it, right? When I like the setup, I'm 100% understanding that I like the setup, and I'm not looking at my phone where when I'm at those type of setups, right? The A plus setups. When I'm at the B plus setups and the B setups, right? I'm constantly looking at my phone at the charts, but when I'm comfortable with the set that I take and I really like it, I'm not really looking at it. And sometimes you even forget. That's how you can really kind of have the hints of how to discover the A plus setups or the B plus setups, right? Or the B setups, whatever it is. Right? So the A plus setups, you really don't look at your phone, or you really calm, you even forget sometimes, right? And the B plus setups or the B setups, you're usually just like constantly looking at the charts, constantly having like this kind of really about being emotional or yeah, constantly looking at the charts pretty much. So then my psychology rules, right? When I feel impulse, FOMO, or chasing a trade, I want to do something. I close the laptop, wait 5 to 10 minutes to just get on by is pretty much and be able to trade from what it reacted, right? When I'm not really sure about that. When I feel bad or something bad happened to me or got me thinking, I'm not trading. I'm not trading. That's simple as that. You can be like, no, I'm cool. I can trade. Sometimes you can be subconscious, not even conscious about the mistakes you're pretty much doing from the things that happen, right? So if I'm being too distracted, I close the laptop, no trading. The whole thing about this is just to preserve your capital. That's the thing, as the most professional way of approaching. You don't have to be unprofessional on having external things, basic or yeah, pretty much basic things out of professionalism affect your professionalism of preserving your capital, making a return on your capital, right? If you don't get a payout or the profit, it just this is just about like a tip or pretty much just a hint or just like a grateful type thing, right? If you don't get to a payout day in profit or even a month in profit, not even has to be a payout, right? If you don't get to profit, just be grateful you're 0.1% funded with previous payouts or being pretty much being grateful you're having training as your career because it's really a blessing when you actually made it in finding your strategy and something that works, right? So it's just a hint. And visual representation. I'm really into having visual representations. I think I didn't explain this, but I think I did. But overall, lower time frame model. I usually advise people to just make it something really visual. Also in here you have a step by step, right? So after that, the visual representation in here you have the step one, step two, and step three. And below all this thing, gonna make sure, yeah, below all this, as I was saying, this wasn't updated, so I just put the thing that I was missing right before. Below all this, you can put some examples. For me, the 5 minute and the 1 minute, right? 5 minute and 1 minute. You can put multiple that you can every day, every single day when you review your plan, right? You can actually look at both of these things, all these things, right? And below that, I got my daily routine for me. I meditate or just have like a quick concentration type thing, watching some relaxing videos on YouTube or listening to some sound waves, right, on YouTube. And then after that, I'll go to the charts and look. I look at the daily 4 hour 15 minute, right, and then I go to the 5 minutes. See if there are any clear values. You compare it with high time frame reactions and the average daily cycle or whatever else you want to pair it on with the bias, right? Then I mark the 5 minute valid POIs, right? Then I wait for a reaction, and then I will to the 1 minute to execute. And then fill the information in the live journal and trade staking, and pretty much that's the day done, right? So that's overall my trading plan. Of course, there can be way more advanced trading plans, right? You can just modify in here psychology things before. You can even put like your daily routine this way before this up to this point, and having like psychology things to say, psychology overall. It's up to you how you optimize this, right? But you gotta make sure that you have a systematic way, the most systematic way possible. Sometimes it's not gonna be 100% systematic, like especially for me, the way that I trade, I understand that, or what I've seen, what I've tested, right? For some strategies, it can be, right? But normally, for pretty much the types of trades that I take, that I normally use, SMC and whatever. I usually it's sometimes it can get a bit subjective of which OBs to put in place and thing that gets to that, right? That's my opinion, and yeah, overall, this is the way you want, not you want, but you can structure your trading plan. Uh, I think it's the simplest way to go about it, and sometimes you really I usually just checked it really fast every single day, but sometimes you just learn all this and you get all this by heart, so you can really don't have to watch it every single day. But when you're starting out, you really 100% want to do it every single day, right? So that's about it. That's my trading plan. Um, Later on, I'll be sharing with you the things I've learned, tips and tricks. How to track your data, of course. If I don't upload it this after the data, I don't know, I'm not really sure, but overall I'm gonna be sharing with you all the things that had helped me into this journey, and hopefully it can help you too. And yeah, that would be pretty much it.